Since the beginning of the 2023 season, Aston Martin showed a huge improvement as a team overall, but that success was mainly achieved thanks to the performances delivered by the two-time world champion Fernando Alonso. Before the upgrades introduced by the rival teams ahead of the Spanish GP, Aston Martin was the team that possessed the second fastest car in the grid. Having such a car to compete in the Formula 1 Championship, Lance Stroll's performance is totally unacceptable. On most of the occasions, we saw Alonso on podiums alongside the Red Bull duo, and Lance Stroll was unable to break into the top 10, even in some of those races. He still saves his seat thanks to his father's Aston Martin ownership. At some point, Lance Stroll may get fed up of his son's performance, and then they'll need a potential replacement in the midway of the season. So, it is our attempt to check out about the possible replacement options for Lance Stroll from the current grid. But before we proceed, hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon for more exciting updates. Our first choice is Felipe Drugovich. Felipe Drugovich is the easiest replacement option that Aston Martin currently possesses, as he is already in a contract with Aston Martin team as their reserve driver. The Brazilian driver is the 2022 Formula 2 champion, and he ran the whole title-winning season as a free agent without having any attachment to a driving academy. But in the latter part of the season, he received a sponsorship from the Aston Martin Junior Academy and was promoted as the reserve driver of the team ahead of the current season. He started his F2 campaign in the year 2020 and then spent 2 years in the junior category till he clinched the F2 title last year. Since Drugovich won the F2 title, we can rate him in the same caliber of Charles Leclerc, Mick Schumacher or Oscar Piastri, who won the F2 title in their first attempt. However, he finished his maiden F2 campaign as 9th in the standings with 121 points, and in the second season, he showed a decline in terms of championship points as well as in the number of race victories. Despite that, he completed the season as 8th. He came back strongly in his third attempt in F2, pushing his limits to a totally new level. Since the pre-season testing, he dominated the season without a considerable challenge. Out of his 75 race entries in F2, he was able to record 8 wins and 19 podiums. Considering all these facts, we can't rate him as an exceptional talent from the junior categories, but I think it is not a factor in offering a race seat to him, as drivers who failed to win at least an F3 title have already become world champions, and on the other hand, drivers who performed well in the junior categories lost the race seats even without winning a race. The best example is Max Verstappen, who is currently a 2-time world champion but never won an F2 or F3 title during his career. And we can see drivers like Piastri, Mick and De Vries, who were former F2 champions, struggle a lot in the premium category. That means results in F2 or F3 don't have any direct link to what they can deliver in F1. In the period between 2017 and 2022, he has competed in different series like the Italian F4 Championship, ADAC F4 Championship, MRF Challenge, Euro Formula Open Championship, Pro Mazda Championship, Formula 3 and Formula 2 Championships, collecting enough experience to find his success as a Formula 1 driver. Drugovich showed a pretty decent performance throughout his last F2 season with good consistency, and we think that he has the capability to repeat it in Formula 1 as well. We cannot guarantee him as a world champion, but he will do the duty for Aston Martin, like Valtteri Bottas did for Mercedes once upon a time. The second option will be Mick Schumacher, which is a gambling-like option for Aston Martin. After losing his Haas seat and his firing from the Ferrari Academy, Mick joined with Mercedes as their reserve driver. As the son of the former 7-time world champion Michael Schumacher, people expected a lot of things from this young F2 champion in an uncompetitive car. It built unnecessary pressure on the young world champion that made him unconfident about his own strengths. In his first season, he was given an uncompetitive car to drive, partnering with a paid driver from Russia called Nikita Mazepin. His performance in such an undeveloped car is sufficient enough for a rookie driver, even though he remained in the bottom 5 always. The following year, he was partnered with experienced Kevin Magnussen, and he appeared to be easily out-qualifying his young teammate. This created an extra burden on the young German driver, and he started to drive with less care to gain gain more performance, resulting in heavy crashes that cost millions of dollars to the Haas budget. Management of the Haas team kept heavy faith in Schumacher when he was added to their driver lineup, but he lost it at the end of 2 seasons and they finally replaced him with the more experienced Nico Hülkenberg. When considering his performances in the junior categories, he is a good option to replace Lance Stroll, but when analysing the results that he delivered in F1 over the last 2 seasons, there is no huge difference between him and Lance, as both of them are not showing consistent performance over a long period of time. But after the double podium finish in Spain, Mercedes engineers as well as their drivers admired the support of Schumacher to find the best package to compete in Barcelona. Energy is still within Schumacher to achieve something great, but some strong reason should be there to light up that spark. We feel that Aston Martin doesn't want to gamble with Lance Stroll's replacement, as they need a consistent performer with good experience to support Alonso for the constructors' standings. Our final choice is Ricciardo, who has already filled more than 90% of the qualifications to replace Lance Stroll. But the remaining 10% is the hardest part, as the Honey Badger needs to prove that he is back in form. The 8-time Grand Prix winner may be the ideal candidate in terms of experience and performance to replace Lance Stroll. But let's not forget that he was once the hope of Red Bull before Verstappen joined the team. Then he slowly lost the #1 status within the team to his Dutch teammate and joined with Renault F1 team. His performances with Renault Challengers were pretty decent, and he was consistently among the top 10, despite there were no podium finishes regularly. Everything turned upside down when he joined McLaren in 2021 as the replacement of Carlos Sainz on a multi-year deal, but he wasn't able to adjust to the Mercedes engines which powered the McLaren Challengers, and there was a considerable performance gap of him relative to his teammate Lando Norris. Even though he was given enough time to return back to his normal rhythm by McLaren management over 2 seasons, Ricciardo wasn't able to impress the team management. He lost his seat 1 year before his contract even ended. Then he joined his old team Red Bull as their reserve driver for the ongoing season. He is 33 years old now, and we believe that still energy remains within Ricciardo to match with a driver like Alonso in an identical car. But he should demonstrate something with Red Bull or AlphaTauri to catch the attention of Aston Martin management. They have options like Stoffel Vandoorne, Callum Ilott, Daniil Kvyat and Robert Schwartzman, who were linked with F1 or F2 previously but currently competing in other categories. But we think their experiences are not sufficient enough to replace Lance Stroll, and Aston Martin will never go for such a risky option, replacing their owner's son. Do you have any suggestions to replace Lance Stroll within the Aston Martin team? Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel to get more exciting Formula 1 news. See you in the next video, guys. Goodbye.